Ah, who is that man staring at us from the screen?
Pretend I boyfriend.
Yeah. So,
No, you're supposed to scream. You remember the
oh,
scene where he's interviewing all the Lisas and he says to one of them, "Pretend I boyfriend," and
oh,
the girl
yeah.
just screams.
So, we're talking about the Disaster Artist, the dramatary on, uh,
The
on,
drama documentary based off The Room, the most
yes,
infamous movie to ever exist.
it
Or
is.
second most, if you think Birdemic is worse.
I think Birdemic is bad, but for a completely different reason. I think that The Room is more fascinating because The Room is at least somewhat based on reality, whereas Birdemic, the reason why it's so bad is because of its terrible, terrible. I can't even call it CG, and also it's really ham-fisted vegan environmental whatever the fuck message it had. Birdemic is bad in a different way than The Room.
It's bad because it really wants to be Alfred Hitchcock's the pigeons, but it isn't.
Yeah, it wants to be Alfred Hitchcock meets uh,
Ferngully.
I was gonna say Captain Planet.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about Birdemic. We're talking about the movie that is basically the amazing Mr. Ripley meets terrible drama.
So one of the first things that I noted down here is that you can't fake bad acting, and we talked about this a bit. We talked about this a bit, but it's just so true that you. So there's a certain charm to bad acting that isn't present when people are intentional. Like, don't get me wrong, the actors in here in this movie are great at doing what they do, but the issue is they're too good to be reasonably believable in the roles that they.
It's the
Yeah,
weird mannerisms. It's
exactly.
when it's noticeable in like the after credits
Yes,
when they're showing off like
the
the
side
side
by
by side,
sides.
where you
Yeah.
can look at like a scene. Yeah, and you can look at a scene where like Tommy is looking at Lisa, where Johnny is looking at Lisa, and he has a flat face,
Yeah,
but
and there's just
but but um but Franco has he does have a flat face, but it's flat in a different way because you can tell he's trying really hard to hold that sort of thing where like one eye is like slightly pinched, the other is a bit raised,
like the
his head's
lazy
a
eye
bit
kind of
tilted.
thing.
Yeah, you can tell he's holding the face a little,
Yeah,
but like
it's a
it's
very
natural enough.
yes, it's the very subtle things you pick up that like you can't always place each and every one of them, but the things that it's just you
There's a
can't
whole
fake it.
trope for this.
Yeah,
There's a whole trope for this. It's bad. It's bad acting.
yeah,
Drake and Josh do it all the time. Where you'll be watching like an episode of Drake and Josh, and they have to pretend they're doing something, and then it's like bad acting. Bad acting is different because bad
yeah,
acting is completely not understanding the
yeah.
cues.
And
Once you understand something, you can never go back.
yeah, it's very present in movies about like musicals, not movies that are musicals, but movies that are about music, like High School Musical, where like the people doing the auditions are like purposely singing horribly off key in a way that's very obvious that they're intentionally singing bad. Like it's that kind of thing where actual bad singing and bad acting is something that you just can't fake.
You can't quantify it because not all of
It's
them are bad for the
natural.
same reason.
Yeah.
You watch something like Birdemic, and it'll be like flub cues, flat lines. Maybe the actor is waving their arms a bit too much, but
Maybe they
like,
completely misread the tone of the scene.
yeah,
And
like the famous scene where he
what
laughs
a
at the
story, Mark.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Or like how he walks up to the camera and looks at it while he's filming. Like, you can chalk a bit of that up to nerves, but like,
Yeah.
I've always told people who are like really bad actors. I always tell them try a Will Shatner impersonation,
Yes.
because Will Shatner, not a great actor, but
He owns what he does.
yeah. So a lot of it ends up being like, even if you're not like a great actor, a lot of bad actors will just default to standing nervously, feeling awkward, trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to be natural, but they're stiff, they're uncomfortable,
Yeah.
they clearly don't want to be there. You can see it in like the opening of the movie. The movie opens with Greg Sestero, played by Franco's brother. What's Franco's first name?
James?
James Franco, yes. James Franco and his brother John Franco, I think.
Yeah.
Or is it Frank Franco? Gosh,
I
can't
have.
remember. This is
Let's
bad.
just call him
This
Greg.
is really bad.
Let's just call him Greg.
Greg. So Greg Sestero in the movie is played by the lesser Franco brother. And he's sort of standing there. He does actually do a pretty good job of looking like a bad actor. James Franco himself has the harder job of being a person who is
Tommy
very,
Wiseau.
very bad.
Yeah.
So,
and for to his credit, he does a fantastic job as Tommy Wiseau. But the issue is that you just can't you can't be Tommy Wiseau. Only Tommy Wiseau can be Tommy Wiseau.
just like how you can't be me and I can't be you.
Exactly.
There's a great after credit scene where they show Tommy Wiseau and James Franco in the same scene together, and Tommy Wiseau is a much better actor now. He's not a great one.
Well, yeah, but
he's much better.
Yeah, when the bar is on the ground, much better is stepping over it.
Fair enough. So the movie opens and we have a scene with Greg Sestero, and he's an awkward, uncomfortable actor. He wants to be there, but he also doesn't want to be seen. He's very closed up. His body is very stiff. He's closing in on himself. And then you get Tommy Wiseau, who comes in and does the scene right after him. And he's moving everywhere. He's humping the scenery.
He is chewing
throwing a
it
chair.
so much. There is so much ham that you can make an entire pig out of it.
He climbs the scaffolding.
Yeah.
He climbs. That is great. That is an amazing touch of just how different Greg is in the opening from Tommy Wiseau, because Greg doesn't move. He doesn't move at all until like he's told to get off stage. And then Tommy Wiseau, he saunters in. He is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He's very still. And then when he starts acting, boom, action everywhere, movement, aggression.
Yes. He is
screaming. He makes the girl next to him so uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, he is absolutely it's a very good character establishing moment for those who wouldn't otherwise know who Tommy Wiseau is. Someone watched this movie without having any idea who Tommy Wiseau was. This is a great introduction to him as a person.
It's great. I wrote down that Tommy Wiseau is destructively confident. He is very confident in himself. And
I believe there's a word for destructive confidence. It's called arrogance.
It's not arrogance. It's not arrogance. It's definitely not arrogance. Destructive confidence because he doesn't believe it. So he's betraying confidence.
You're betraying my trust, Lisa.
You see it all throughout the movie, where he's a confident person would never spy on their own production studio, on their
Yeah.
own cast and crew, or like constantly berate them or call them ugly. A confident person is an arrogant person might, but like a distractedly confident person, it's different. Tamuzo is, in essence, multi-layered. He's like an
Yeah.
onion.
Yes. I was just about to say that.
He presents himself as confident, as big, as loud. Because while he is big, he is loud. He also knows what everybody says about him, and he takes a lot of it
He
too
internalizes
hard.
it.
He internalizes it. He hates himself in a way.
Especially the very good advice that he should play villains because that's not a bad thing. Like
there's some great actors who play villains.
Yeah, Christopher Lee. He was phenomenal, and he almost always played villains.
Yeah, but the reason I'd say that Tame wants to be the hero is because I am familiar with those. It's this feeling of you don't want people to see you only as the fool. When I was in theater, I was very quickly typecast as the fool, and I tried very hard to break out of that. I was, well, to be fair, I was a very lanky, sort of big-headed person, so it was just sort of a
That's
little
fair.
awkward looking.
And you did go to clown college.
He, ha ha ha. Anyway, so I was very quickly typecast as the fool, and it was very. I did not like it. I did not like being typecast as the fool, because people actually treated me as the fool.
Oh, people have difficulty separating the character, the roles from the actor.
The actual director of the play we're in treated me like an idiot, and I'm like, I'm only playing the role, and they're like, oh. And they're like, oh, I want you to play the idiot. And I'm like, I'd rather play any other role. And they're like, well, this is the role I've chosen for you. And I'm like, I remember doing this whole thing where like I was so sick of it. Like I'm like, write down the roles you want. I'm like, I kind of want to do this role. It's a small role. It's dignified. I immediately get a much bigger role, and it's the fool character.
Oh, that's rough.
Then I find out later they wanted to give me the role originally of an even bigger fool. It's Shakespeare. Shakespeare's Twelfth Nights.
Ooh.
12 Nights. And there's two main fools. There's the fool who's this big brash knightly guy, and the other fool who is the head of the household who just gets bullied and locked in a closet for half the play.
That's rough.
And the second one was the one they wanted to give me originally, but they gave me the other one because they were like, maybe you won't like that. And I'm like, I didn't like either. All I wanted was the role with like 2 lines where I just walk on stage, say something, and then walk off. That was all I wanted.
If I got to choose a role, I would want to be a villain, because I am a huge fan of like villain characters. And I would love to play a villain in things. But also, in regards to typecasting, like, I completely understand why people would want to break away. Not everyone can be Lucy Punch.
Oh, to be fair, Lucy Punch specifically seeks out those roles. She can stop them at any moment. It's not typecasting if you choose it.
Well, I mean, okay, I think it still is typecasting, but you're owning it, like being able to own typecasting, and that's how she was able to land like 5 different roles as Cinderella's evil stepsister.
Fair. To be fair, she does play like other roles that are not like
villains.
That. She's played like she's played like various roles that, while villainous, they're not the same type of villain, which I think is the important bit. Like,
to be fair, also
nobody wants to play the Frankenstein monster forever. Like even Boris Karloff, the guy who is the de facto Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, he was also the Mummy.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't want to play movie monsters forever. You see it later in his career where he does like very serious acting jobs. He's one of those big prolific guys you just never really realize. He was Boris Karloff did a lot of stuff. I think he was even Tony the Tiger.
Um,
So
I think that one actor who also was able to own typecasting is Lon Chaney, the man with 1,000 faces, because he was able to play he played even more movie monsters than Boris Karloff did.
that's fair. So back on
Yes, back on the
the movie.
Disaster
Yes.
Artist.
So
So I have it here. I have it written down that once the movie actually starts production, they go into some of they don't go into details, but they do lampshade some of the things that the fandom of The Room have wandered.
being
Some of
curious
the
about where the money comes from.
Well, I was gonna go more does the cancer plotline go anywhere? It doesn't, and on set of the in the Disaster Artist, the characters playing the characters.
So a lot of this actually does come from the book, The Disaster Artist, written by Greg Sestero himself.
Is it actual? Is it word for word dialogue? Some of the
I believe there is a bunch of it that is.
Okay.
They leave or change things out to mostly succinct stuff. Tommy Wiseau knew Greg's mother a bit longer than
5
the
minutes
movie portrays.
Yeah. All right. Well,
in real life, he told her he was from France, and she spoke French to him. And apparently, she was like, "The French did something terrible to this man. He looked disgusted when I spoke French."
Jesus. So, okay. So, for the sake of simplicity, I'll just refer to them as the actors, treating it as though we were watching the actual production of The Room rather than a dramatized recreation. So the actors do have questions about does the cancer plotline go anywhere, and how old is Danny supposed to be?
He is 26. I thought he was older.
Honestly...
he is older than Greg.
Jesus.
He's older than Greg. Greg Sestero at that time. He was 19 in 99. So by that time he was
21,
early 20s, about 21, 22 about. It is very, very odd.
Yeah. And okay, so there was a throwaway line that is actually a very deep cut reference during the production of the movie when Tommy is writing the script and he is musing, what if they make Johnny a vampire? So that was an actual plot line that he was seriously considering for a decent chunk of the production.
One of the original endings of the movie involved a very elaborate scene in which Tommy would get in a car and it would fly away, and that's how the movie would end.
Yeah,
and they didn't do that because it would be too expensive.
Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, didn't they? Oh God, it was he wanted it to be a reference to some other movie where the car just flies off into the sunset.
The Room is essentially an homage to many great movies by a person who doesn't understand why those scenes worked.
Yeah, and honestly, that adds to its just bizarre charm. It's something that you just cannot make up. It's like, those Sonic comics that are drawn in MS Paint, the one where it's sorry tales if this looks gay to the viewers, and wake up, we fucked up big time. Those ones that are just prime meme material because of just how jank they are, and you cannot it's so Pablo Picasso said that it took him 10 years to learn art and then another 10 to unlearn it in regards to his surreal style, and I think that is a very accurate explanation of what's going on here, in that if you know what is wrong, if you know how to do things right, you will never even be able to come close to making something this genuine.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like, The Room is a masterpiece, all right? It is bizarre, it is raw, and it is something that cannot be fabricated.
You can't fake a person who
Insists that his ass is supposed to be shown.
that was an actual thing. He believed firmly that his ass was going to sell the film.
Yeah.
So a little of the movie is told out of order. Most of the events did play out, but not in the order they did. Mostly because
To make things a
long
little more
story
dramatic.
a little more cohesive.
Okay.
A little more cohesive, because you can't have the scene where Tommy has his breakdown and wants to show off his ass and sexual prowess until after he's been emasculated when Greg wants to move out.
Yeah.
I love the bit where he complains about his foot after he kicks a can, though.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. One thing I really have to wonder: did Greg really get offered to play a lumberjack on Malcolm in the Middle? Was that an actual thing that happened?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh God. Aw.
It is very painful. So
Giving up because Malcolm in the Middle is big, and that would look great being a background character, or like, no, I think he was supposed to have like speaking lines allegedly.
apparently, yeah,
Yeah.
he would have had it would have been a small role, but
Yeah.
the general idea is that it is very spiteful that they insist that it be done that way, and you do really feel bad for Greg. But
Yeah.
to be fair, Tommy's ass did sell that movie, so
Yeah. Another joke is in the ass scene when he starts quote unquote making love, and everyone, as is filming, everyone's just like, does he know that's her belly button? Which is a comment, because that is pretty much what it looks like.
I remember watching the Nostalgia Critics review of The Room.
That was back when he was good at doing. Well, he's actually gotten a little bit better lately since he stopped doing the big gags and all that, and started
give or
being
take, whatever.
honest reviews.
So one of the things that Nostalgia Critic did make comment on was the fact that he was humping her navel, and I'm gonna be honest, I think everybody sort of caught on after a while. There might have been a few people who are like, "Huh, this is really sensual," and they realized, "Wait a minute,
Yeah,
it's way too close." I think potentially you could argue that he wanted to get that close because it was good framing, but I don't think he even would have realized that. So.
Yeah, I think that I don't know what to think, honestly, but yeah, it's just
it's
one of
a very odd movie. I love how the movie ends and it goes, nobody knows where Tommy got his money. Nobody knows how old he is. Nobody knows where he's from. Greg mostly just has guesses in his book, which is the interesting part. Greg Sestero has guesses. According to him, this is the best theory he has. Tommy grew up somewhere behind the Iron Curtain, back during like the 19 whatever.
During the Cold War, Berlin Wall and all that,
and managed to make it across the border of the Iron Curtain to France, where he started working for an uncle. That's his theory, where he sold bootleg leather jackets to tourists, and then eventually managed to make it to America, potentially after some run-ins with the French police, where he settled down and took what money he had and started investing it into small local businesses where he sells clothing.
Yeah.
That is where most of his money comes from, is the main guess.
My guess as to where he got the money, I think that on November 24th, 1971, he hijacked a Boeing 727 and ended up getting money, claiming there was a bomb on the plane, and ended up getting money from the government as part of the
ransom.
Hostage negotiations, and then took off with the plane and then jumped out, never to be seen again.
You know what? Fair. It might be why he growed his hair for so long.
And wears sunglasses.
Have you seen photos of like Tommy Wiseau with like short hair? He looks very identical to
DB Cooper.
To DB Cooper, yeah. Do we know where that plane was from? Maybe it was his ticket from France to America.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, nobody knows how old Tommy Wiseau is. Nobody knows where he's from. But yeah.
Fair enough. There is one thing about the movie that's interesting. Various actors did go on to actually continue acting.
That's good.
Juliette Danielle, the actress who played Lisa, quit acting for 10 years before returning to do various bit roles and stuff like Dead Texas and even Ghost Shark 2.
Really? Ghost Shark 2, the sci-fi original movie?
Yes, she was in Ghost Shark 2, a very small role, but she was there.
Huh.
She was also there with one of the actors from Birdemic.
Oh, nice.
And so Ghost Shark 2's big claim to fame is that it's one of the only movies to include actors from all the really so bad they're good films, like The Room, Birdemic, and some other third one I don't recall. Ghost Shark 2, urban chaos.
Yeah, Ghost Shark 2. Ghost Shark 2 is the one that had the shark eating, like, someone was going on a slip and slide, and then the shark just comes out of the ground to eat them. Right?
That might have just been Ghost Shark 1. That could have just been Ghost Shark 1.
Maybe. Sci-fi original movies.
Then
Sci-Fi Channel original movies were so cheesy good before Sharknado, because once Sharknado came out and spawned a whole thing, that's when it. I'm not gonna say that's when it started going downhill, but that's when it was clear they were beating a dead horse.
To be fair, they were already doing like 5 shark movies a year at that point, so I'm pretty sure Sharknado was just them making fun of themselves at that point.
Maybe the first one, but the so many sequels after just became.
Sharknado 5 involves them time traveling to destroy Sharknadoes forever. They are clearly taking the piss at this point.
Yeah, I know, but they're also contributing to the problem while they're taking the piss.
Taking the piss makes money.
That's fair.
And anyway, here's some of the cameos from the movie.
Yes.
Zac Efron played a character.
Yes.
Hannibal Buress played a character.
Bryan Cranston played himself.
Bryan Cranston did indeed play himself.
Yes, Bryan Planston, as you said.
Bryan Planston plants himself. Yes.
Yeah, and this was set before Breaking Bad, so he was known for Malcolm in the Middle at this time.
Exclusively.
Yeah.
But he also directed Malcolm in the Middle episodes. I think I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know. I've never seen an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, so.
Really? There's some good ones. I think my favorite ones are the ones that give, like, the ones that show the mother being more than just like a really good one is the one where where Malcolm gets a job at like the supermarket and his mom is his coworker, and they're on like equal terms effectively. And
I love the episode where Malcolm and the brothers end up getting lost in the woods and they run into Greg Sestero as a lumberjack.
Oh God, I would love to have been able to see that episode with Greg. Maybe
It
if we
w- it
can
would be
invent the
amusing.
multiverse.
Maybe. On the topic of multiverses,
Uh,
one of the scenes that sticks with me the most is the diner scene in which Tom Wiseau is hanging out at a diner when he overhears a big Hollywood executive talking about the Star Wars movies.
yes, they were talking about the prequels and how and Jar Jar Binks and all that.
To be fair, it is funny because if you listen to his dialogue, he says there's too much action, there's not enough talking. Jar Jar Binks was great though.
Yeah, yeah. Which was like okay, so there
The opinions on Phantom Menace have changed drastically over the years.
well, I mean, those were what the opinions were at the time, but then really went downhill. The opinions on Phantom Menace really went downhill, but they've come back up to being that again because I like Phantom Menace. I like the prequels. I like them more than the original trilogy because I grew up with them.
Yes. There's a great scene in which he's trying to tell the guy Shakespeare. He's trying to do Shakespeare.
He gets
And the guy's
through
like,
two Shakespeares before security comes in.
that man got through 2 acts of Shakespeare. To be fair, the dude was a jerk.
Well, yeah, but also I kind of
To
understand.
be fair, nobody wants to have somebody approach them in public and start acting at them, which is a great subversion of the opening of the film, in which they put on a play in the diner, the little
Yeah.
cheapo food diner, and
Yeah,
nobody claps, but nobody kicks them out, I think is the
Yeah.
important bit. And then it's like they do the scene with the diner later where he's at like a bigger, fancier restaurant. He tries doing it and he's disruptive, and it's like,
Yeah.
your tactics don't work so great, Tommy.
Yeah, it was a reality check for him,
Yes.
but also
reality checks are important.
yeah, it was reality check and also what set him on the path of making his own movie.
Yes. I do love the line where the guy says, "Never in a million years." And
What about after that?
And Tommy replies, "But after that." And he's like,
Never in
"Not
a
even
million
after
years.
that. Not even after that." And that really is one of those things where you sort of, if
Feel
you're
sorry.
creative in a creative field, you do definitely feel sorry for Tommy. But definitely for like a lot of people in creative fields, that is a stab to the heart, because a lot of them do know the statistics.
Yeah, it's not just skill. You can be the most talented person ever, but if you don't have the connections, you're not going to get anywhere. It is skill, or it takes talent, and it takes networking. And most people
Yes.
don't have networking. Most people don't have the connections. And if you don't have the connections, the thing that it takes is luck. And statistically speaking, chances are you will not be the lucky person. There always will be a lucky person, but that doesn't mean it's going to be you.
Think about it this way. Johnny Depp got his first starring role in
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street by driving somebody else there.
Yeah, he wasn't.
That is something that you cannot make happen.
Point of order.
You can drive for 1 million people, but
Point of order. It wasn't a starring role.
It was not a starring role.
Yeah, he was considered like a side character, one of the more important side characters, but a side character nonetheless. He didn't get top billing. He got like 4th or 5th billing, I believe, on the opening credits.
Mad Max, the original Mad Max, he did get top billing. But so what happened with Mad Max, the original Mad Max, is that it's a very similar story. I actually remember reading about these guys, Johnny Depp and also Mel Gibson, and how they got their like big breaks. And the article ends with literally, the lesson you should take here is you should start driving your actor friends places.
Yeah. Arnold
Mel
Schwarzenegger.
Gibson.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson. He drove a buddy to the film, and he was asked to be an extra. And then during production, the original lead ended up dropping out. Stuff happened, and he was eventually approached like, "Hey, you're the roughest, toughest looking guy here. You want to be the new lead?"
You know, one other person who was a breakout success.
Danny Trejo.
Well, yes, but I was gonna say Gus from Breaking Bad because he wasn't originally supposed to be like the primary antagonist for 3 seasons. He was supposed to originally just be the manager at a chicken place, and the reason why he was able to stay is when he got the role in the weeks leading up to actually filming that scene. He started doing yoga to control his breathing, and he had done his delivery specifically with a very subtle hint that there might be something more. Because his reasoning was either I'm gonna do this, and either it's going to lead to something more, or it's just gonna be the role is done and I move on to the next. I wait for another role in some other thing. Like that was his reasoning, and because of that delivery, the delivery was anything I can help you with. That was what it was, not the way I delivered it, obviously, because
you're not an award-winning actor who's been in video games, movies, Far Cry 5.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time.
Far Cry 6.
Leverage.
Oh.
Yeah.
He really did get a breakout from that.
Absolutely. And
Jesse Pinkman also was meant to be just sort of a bit character.
He was supposed to die.
He was meant to die in like season 1, but like writers' strike and test screenings were like, we'll keep him alive a bit longer.
Yeah, we can always kill him off later if we need to. And then he ended up becoming the best character in the show, even better than Walter.
It was a whole thing apparently where Bryan Cranston would read the scripts first. If he got the script first, he would read it, and then he would approach is it Andrew Paul?
Aaron Paul,
yeah. Aaron Paul, and then approach Aaron Paul, tap on the shoulder and be like, "It's been good working with you." And Aaron would freak out because he's like, "Oh, did they kill me? Did they kill me this time?" So he'd run back to his trailer, read the script, and be like, "Oh, I'm alive." That was apparently a whole thing during production. We're getting off topic.
Well, I mean, Bryan Cranston is on topic.
This is what happens when you're talking about a movie that's a love letter to Hollywood that doesn't understand Hollywood. You get a bunch of people who don't understand Hollywood talking about Hollywood.
So, circling back to The Room, and the point we were trying to make. Oh, whoa, that was a little. I hope that didn't pick up on the camera.
I'm back.
Yeah, that caused a little bit of a glitch.
I was not moving my mouse as often as I should in my computer to sleep mode. Yay!
That's fair. So, circling back to Hollywood and the disaster artists, the point we were trying to get, and we mostly stayed on topic, is that if you don't have the connections, what you need is luck. And
The Room is basically the epitome of luck.
Oh yeah.
Any other? It could have been just sort of one of those movies that everybody forgets about, but
like Avatar.
Yeah, it's made its money back. That's the thing.
Nobody.
The movie opens with several famous actors. They got
They got
Kevin Smith. They got a bunch of people, and they're all. Yeah. They got J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and they got God damn, the guy who plays Ben on the in Parks and Rec. I cannot remember his name.
I want to say Ben Schwartz.
No, it's not Ben
Not,
Schwartz. He
not the
plays.
Sonic guy.
Yeah, no, not the Sonic guy. Ben Schwartz plays uh he plays the lawyer's son.
Okay, well we can move on from that.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of people in, and they're all talking about like The Room. They're like, it's a 1 in a million. It's something everybody's got to see because
Adam Scott.
curiosity's Adam Scott.
Yeah, Adam Scott is one of the actors talking about The Room.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I believe those are them articulating quotes that they already made about The Room years earlier.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, so they got them back on set. They put them in front of a black screen and said, just say the thing that you said in this review from like 2008.
Yeah. So,
but the Kevin Smith one is interesting because Kevin Smith is also an indie director who also has no idea how film works.
so
that's actually a common complaint about him. Actually, so funny.
To be fair, I'd also say J.J. Abrams is a director who doesn't know how film works. If you look at Star Wars sequel trilogy,
I think he just doesn't know how to like make a good script that doesn't rely on like mystery boxes. But that's a whole different bag of worms.
Yeah, he probably just doesn't know that you shouldn't leave a mystery box when you're not the one that's gonna be directing the next movie.
To be fair, I did like the Star Trek movies, and I've seen I do like J.J. Abrams movies. They're fine popcorn flicks. I would not go to a J.J. Abrams movie to discover the meaning of the life, the universe, and everything.
But yeah, so it's various things that have been said about The Room. And honestly, the thing that makes The Room so special is it was an honest. Oh, you just resized your thing.
Yeah.
That's
apparently an issue. I have no idea how I managed that.
Yeah. Well, it's being caught on the thing.
There we go. Yeah. I noticed. I had to move my mouse, and apparently the mouse did it.
So the thing about The Room is, it's such a genuine attempt to make something good. It is a genuine attempt to make something good by someone who has no idea how to make something good, and as a result, it becomes amazing for all the wrong reasons.
So let's focus on the Disaster Artist, rather than The Room itself.
Yes.
The Disaster Artist is just one of those. It's a very well directed film.
It is. I cried.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I too would cry if I could. If I could cry.
But no, in all honesty, at the end, when he is sad because everyone likes it for the wrong reason, and then Greg tells him, like, look, they're gonna have their opinions. What you gotta do is you have to own it, all right? And then he comes out, he's like, oh yeah, everyone enjoyed my comedy. Yeah, it was all a comedy. It was intended to be this way. Wait, it was intended to be this way. And then, he just relishes in people, like, enjoying it. Because at the end of the day, as a creator, the best you can hope for is that people enjoy your art. And
I do like how the movie, despite the fact that Tommy clearly doesn't want to be the villain, it's sort of the reoccurring motif. Tommy Wiseau is the villain because he believes he should be the hero.
Yes.
So when he sees people around him and they're like, I'm moving on, I'm doing something else, or I'm gonna be in another movie, that to him in like movie terms would be the scene in which somebody you trust is betraying you, and he's the hero. He's the hero.
Yeah. And it is a self-destructive kind of.
Right.
It is self-destructive. It's so much so that Greg ends up leaving, which is a thing that actually happened after a big fight. Greg ended up leaving, which is why it was some random guy whose name I can't remember is the one that breaks up or that gets into a fight with Johnny in.
No, you're thinking
No?
about something else. So you're thinking about Peter.
Okay.
They don't put this in the movie.
yes.
Don't put this in the movie. But the guy who played Peter had a different job opportunity waiting for him, and he actually left, unlike Greg did.
Okay.
So the big fight that they portray in the movie at the very end, where he's yelling about the money, I do not believe that happened. I do not think that happened. I have not read the book in ages, but I do not recall that happening in the
Okay.
book.
If it did happen, I think it probably happened to Peter then, because
No,
no.
it did not happen. Peter left because he got a concussion, and he also
shit.
went on to do other stuff.
Okay. Either way, it was apparently Peter that I was thinking of that ended up being replaced in the final
If you
scene.
watch the film, you can find scenes of Peter after he takes like a fall. He's fumbling around a little, grabbing stuff. That's a guy with a concussion. That is a concussion.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to rewatch and keep an eye out on Peter.
There's not in Disaster Artist. That's in The Room exclusively.
Oh, okay.
They don't recreate it. They do not recreate that particular scene, but I do believe Peter had a concussion.
Yeah. I think that I think that dramatizations of movies or dramatizations of real things that happened should be a thing that happens more. You know what I mean? Because can you imagine a dramatization of like the events that went on set at iCarly, for example?
I think we'll leave that for later, but
yeah, we'll watch. If at some point we're gonna watch all the episodes of iCarly and talk about each and every one painstakingly in detail.
We'll do a 5-hour video, then we'll do another 5-hour second parter, then we'll do an 8-parter on Victorious, then we'll do a 5-hour follow-up, then we'll do a 5-hour video on Sam and Cat, and that'll only be part 1 of 2.
Yeah, because there's so many episodes, but it's only one season.
Sandy, okay, so Sandy, the big guy who was the assistant director, he's not actually credited in the credits for The Room.
Really? Oh, yeah. Is that the one who doesn't have it listed on his IMDb?
He does not have it listed on his IMDb page, no.
In a Disaster Artist,
that is him. That is that guy. He went on to work in other stuff like I didn't write down any of the stuff he was in, but he was in a few other things, so he kept his career going after that.
That's good. Did in the Disaster Artist, is he the one that was like, you're not gonna put this on your IMDb, are you?
No, no, you're thinking about the scene in the pool,
right?
In which Rachel,
yes,
the girl Greg is having a romance with, tells him,
yeah,
you're not gonna put this in your IMDb page. Well, they're joking, and he's like, no, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be something.
Yeah, sorry, I just have it wrote down in quotations. You're not gonna put this in your IMDb, are you? I didn't write down who it was that said it.
We should check Greg Sestero's IMDb page just to see if he did.
I think he did, because I did check it after.
Pretty sure even if you removed it, they would still put it back in.
Yeah.
It's the movie he's most famous for.
Absolutely.
So after that, he went into plays. So after the filming of The Room wrapped up, he went into doing plays instead of movies and TV shows. And Tommy Wiseau eventually did join him.
Greg Sestero actually had a cameo in Disaster Artist.
Yes.
He was a casting agent.
I believe at the end. Yes. I believe he was. So after filming The Room, Greg Sestero moved on to be in plays, which you do see him in one of those plays. I believe it was what was the play?
It was Shakespeare, wasn't it?
Death of a Death of
Oh
a
no, yeah, it
Salesman.
was Death Salesman.
Yeah, so he was in Death of the Salesman, and years later, Tommy was would join him in doing plays.
Hmm.
So they did plays together for a bit.
Yeah, and Greg Sestero did end up being in Tommy's next big movie, Best Fiends (parentheses R), Best Friends
Yep.
Fiends. I really don't know how to pronounce it.
And Best Friends, it's called Best Friends.
Best Friends, maybe.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and also Greg Sestero was a background character in Gattaca. The movie,
Impressive.
the dystopian test tube baby future movie.
I can believe that.
Yeah, that's a good movie, by the way. We should watch it at some point.
We can add that to a list of stuff to keep in mind.
Yeah, we have a list that we've been building for years about movies we want to watch, and we're slowly working our way through it for this series. But yeah,
We've got a list. We got a list to go through.
Yeah, we do. So one more thing that I wanted to talk about was Tommy's first scene in the room.
Yes, the one where he did multiple retakes.
Yeah, what was it, like 75? He did several takes.
It was an amount.
It was quite an amount, so much so that the crew memorized the lines before Tommy did. The famous. Do you want to say the lines, or do you want me to?
You can say it because I don't remember them.
All right. I did not hit her. She's lying. This is bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Yep, there's that famous line.
Yes. And the water bottle, according to Disaster Artist, was given to Tommy by Greg in order to calm his nerves, give him some water to drink, and B, to like give a bit of inflection by throwing it down, which was the take that they went with.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it is one of the most beloved scenes. And it's so wild because, Tommy's the one that wrote the script. He's the one that wrote these lines.
To be fair, I have written plenty of scripts and I have forgotten my own lines, so not ones that make it to film.
I just think it was a really good scene. It was like that episode of Animaniacs, the one where Dot keeps messing up her line. You know that one of original Animaniacs?
Does not come to mind, unfortunately.
It's the one where she's introducing herself and it's like Princess Angel. Shit, I used to be able to name her full name, but she keeps flubbing the lines, and she finally gets it by saying it very slowly and counting on her fingers. When she finally gets it, like everyone celebrates, and then it's like, and we're out of footage. It was just one of the short skits.
That's fair.
It's the one where she's like, well, not we can't all. It's like we can't all be good at memorizing our lines, Mr. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama. In reference,
I think that might have been from the new one then. If that was
no,
the case.
they it was Wacko that referenced it in the new one in the Olympics episode.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a good scene in Disaster Artists because it's one of the best scenes.
It's the one everybody knows because it's this one that sort of went meme viral.
Yeah, That and "You are tearing me apart, Lisa," which ended up getting put on shirts in the premiere, or ended up being put on signs or shirts. Was it shirts or signs?
Shirts, signs, underwear.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Tommy Wiseau sells underwear of the room.
Oh God, I am tempted to buy some. Just
Do
for the
so. They have his
novelty.
name in big yellow letters.
Oh Jesus Christ, that sounds amazing. Tommy Wiseau is such a fascinating person.
Indeed.
Yes. God, I would love it if we could manage to get him onto one of our shows. But you know, he's a big, famous, big time Hollywood star, so that'd be
He's busy filming the Tommy Wiseau show
yeah,
with Alien.
yeah. So I
You
think
never know what that man is gonna do next. I'm gonna
Really
be
don't.
honest.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if his next movie involved killer clowns.
Well, he does want to play Joker really badly.
Yeah. So I think I've said pretty much everything I have to say about Disaster Artist. It's a good movie. You should watch it. You should also go watch The Room so you have context. And it's just so fascinating, and I do not have the words to be able to describe how I feel about it. What about
The
you?
Disaster Artist is very good. I highly recommend anybody who's curious about the making of The Room or just wants to see like a really good drama, go see The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're just a fan of A24 films right now because you saw like Everything Everywhere All at Once, and A24 is the big deal at the moment.
Yeah. All right. I guess that wraps it up. What would you rate it? I'm thinking I would rate The Disaster Artist 8 Tommy Wiseau brand underwear out of 9.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't rate. I would sort of if I'm watching a drama, I'm gonna rate it differently than I would something like Stardust, which is a comedy romance. Well, I would give like Stardust like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10.
I think we gave it a 10 out of 10.
Maybe did we?
I don't remember. Honestly,
I don't
our
think
rating
we did
system
this bit.
our rating system really doesn't matter.
I would give this a big 9 out of 10 because I don't really watch much drama documentaries. They're sort of, a lot of them are boring, slow paced. A lot of them deal with bits of history that aren't
accurate,
interesting, or accurate. A lot of them do flub stuff. There's a movie I watched a while back that I was very disappointed when I learned that like the big closing speech that was really powerful turned out to be completely made up just for the movie, and I'm like,
oh, that sucks. So we got 9 out of 10 Tommy Wiseau brand underwear from Scraps, and 8 out of 9 for me. 8 out of 9 Tommy Wiseau brand underwear from me.
Which is a higher score, 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 9?
Well, you have to keep in mind the score is underwear with Tommy Wiseau's name on it. So let's let the viewers decide. Comment challenge of the day. What is your favorite scene in The Room?
The one where he shoots himself and then humps the dress so the girl can never wear it ever again.
That is a good one. I really like the flower shop.
That is a good one.
I'm glad that was the first one that they, the first scene they did a side by side of in the post credits.
Did they? Yeah, I think that probably was. Yeah.
Yeah. So, check out some of the other stuff on the channel. Scraps is playing Pokemon Platinum and Cult of the Lamb. We have 2 Dungeons & Dragons campaigns going on. One is Curse of Strahd, which is always fun. The other is a homebrew that I've created and run called World of Tapir. There is a Wind Waker Let's Play that's going on. And I have a Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts Let's Play I'm suffering through. So if any of those interest you, definitely check them out. And if you want to see more, hit that button. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yes.
So, with that out of the way, there's nothing left to say, but good night, everybody.
Good night, every Wizzo.
I did not hit her.